Welcome to a video from thedigitallife.com. In this video I'm just going to have a quick look at the pitch lanes in the motion sequences on the Korg Modwave and Korg Wavestate. They actually work pretty much the same on both, but I'll show you on both because it's actually got quite a powerful set of features in there that can really make some interesting sequences. I'm using the native versions, but this is exactly the same on the hardware versions. I'm actually controlling it from an actual hardware Modwave here, but I fired up the two native versions to show you this. So I've got an initial patch on the Modwave, the Wavestate. I've got an initial patch and I've just added a bit of sequencing, but we'll look at that shortly. So here's that's the Modwave, which you can hear there. If I go to the sequencer, and here you can see the pitch lane. You can record this with notes from the keyboard, so you can go to record, hit the notes, and it will put those in. Here on the native I can enter those in. So if I enter a little sequence in of 3, 5, say 7, and I'm going to shorten it down just to repeat the same 4 notes over for now. You can hear that sequence. If I play a chord, D minor, or a C, it sounds a bit messy and there's a bit too much going on there, so we can tame it in a way and make that sound better. Before I do that, I'm just going to do a bit on the synthesis. It's a really handy trick that you've not seen before. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the filter down, put the filter envelope up a bit, and I'm going to get the filter and we're going to have a bit of an envelope on there. Now it does it once and then it doesn't trigger the envelope again, so that's it doesn't sound right. We want the envelope to be re-triggered, so we can do that by using the step pulse. That's more like it now. So we can control that and through the use of the envelope we can control the envelope. And of course, we're using the motion sequencer. We've got all these extra 4 lanes where we can control the filter and the resonance. But for now, we'll just stick with this pitch. That sounds okay. But when I play a chord, yeah, it doesn't sound so good. So what we've got here is this pitch lane control, and the one we can hear is fit to scale. So you can choose the scale that you want to do this in. So my favourite one is always a bit of D minor, so saddest key of them all. So I set this to D minor. Without fit to scale. Here, let me play a D minor chord. Put the button on. If I play a G without it, you can hear the different. So it brings those notes into line, and if I can show you exactly what it's doing, if I go back to C major, so if I turn this motion sequencer off, what it's actually, that 0, 3, 5, 7 is going. So if I put it on, you can hear it. So that's, so if I on the keyboard I'm playing C, E flat, F, G, so that's 0, 3, 5 and 7. Now in C major, that flat shouldn't be there if I play them all together like that. So if I put the scale on, it's changed that E flat to an E, because in the key of C you don't have an E flat, you have the E. But I mean, if I play it with a G, the notes will be all from the C major scale. If I play an A, and so on. The other thing I can do now is I can sync the notes to stop that getting sort of out of sequence. If I play an F major 7, all the notes are right without it. If I play a G minor, So by doing that, it's pulled it into the right key. So you can be a bit more interesting with the... So now let me just flick it back to D minor. I can create some more interesting stuff. So I can create some chords like that. And I did mention about the synthesis side of it. Let's turn that envelope down for now. And we could have the filter envelope intensity being controlled by sequence lane A, back to sequence lane A. Stop. And so on. And I could create a little 4-part that's going to control the resonance. Okay, so there's some other things on the pitch lane we can do as well. It's going to a clean step each time. But what we could say is on that last note, we could say how those transitions progress. Now we've got the shape lane, which I'll show you in a second, but we've got this transition here. So currently we're with no transition, but we could go linear. And actually you can see there those values. And we've got exponential. And we've got logarithmic. So it's a sharper step up when you go the logarithmic one. Now that might not work for all the notes in our case, so what we could do is we could say let's have it individual. That's okay. And on that last note we can make that slide up to it. If I increase this higher note, you can hear the effect on that. So you can see that it's sliding that note up, almost like a kick drum. And that's because we've got that shape is going up like that, because it's going down to 0 for the next one. So if I had a couple more notes in, so we can choose those individual transitions. I think that probably works the best. The other thing you have got is you can tune them slightly. So you could have it slightly out of tune. So you could have another layer on layer B in tune, this one out of tune slightly, and you can make it ever so slightly out of tune for this pitch lane as you're going through, because you don't have to. You can have it all as zeros, and you can just have a bit of tuning on each one, so to add a bit of sort of warmth to it. Because what you can do, there's other things you can do as well. You can set the note advance so that each time you play, it starts on the next note as well. And now I've told it to use the shape lane, and we can start to choose some shapes. You can see here the effect it's having down on. So even with that, if I go back to the pitch and make it no transition, so now it's using the shape, so you can hear that pitch shape going through. So there's our little sequence. Let's flick over to the wave state and look at something similar. So what I've done on the wave state, I've got the same wave sequence, but I've selected two, a marimba and a vibraphone to play. I've got two notes, timings, and I've done a similar pitch that we did before. And I'm in the C major scale. So even if I go to play a whole series of sort of random notes. So if I go and play a C7, and a C6 without it, without it just sounds a bit strange, doesn't it? So that's with it on. And I've synced up as well. If you don't sync it up, you get some really interesting effects as well. So it's exactly the same thing. We've got the pitch lane. Now if I switch on shape, and this is effects, now if I switch on shape, and this affects both the Modwave and the Wavestate, exactly the same on this, you can hear it's using the shape, which is those triangles, to try and get to the pitch levels. So it's using this triangle, so it goes up and then back down. If I did the saw down, you hear the pitch coming down. And I think there's even some double ones like this. So straight away you've got some really interesting effects that you can do using the shape lane. If I turn the shape lane off for now. Now one thing I noticed with the pitch lane on the Wavestate is there's no transition. So we've got all the other effects, we've got all the other parameters, but not got the transition on there. And then the other thing you've got is note advance as well. So that's the note it starts from. So without the note advance, it would play the same note each time. And of course, if you combine that with the timing lanes, on the Wavestate you've got a step sequencer value as well. So on the Wavestate you've got a sequence value as well, which you can control. And on the Modwave you've got the 4 sequence lanes over 2 layers, whereas you've got 4 layers on the Wavestate with the one sequence lane on each of those 4 layers. So you can create some interesting sounds on there. But that's how you can use the pitch lanes. So it's a simple little thing. You've got shape, you've got scales, and you've got transitions that all make to go some interesting sounds. If you're producing, so if you wanted to go to sort of acid type bass sounds, then I think the Modwave with its transitions would actually probably work better. If you want to do more sample type ones, then the Wavestate is the one to do, because samples don't re-trigger on the Modwave each time the sequence plays, whereas they do on the Wavestate. So I think that clears it up. If I've missed something, please let me know. I'm just learning all this as I go along, so your comments are appreciated. So thanks for watching this video. Thanks to all the people that support us on Patreon. If you like the sound packs that I do, you can get them from thedigital-lifestyle.com. There's a ton of free ones there and a couple of premium ones. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.